Right, hello Linda.
Hello John, how are you today?
Very well, thanks. I think it's fair to say that you are one of the change leaders in this industry, so we're delighted to have you. And I want to start really with an event that you yourselves hosted, NBCU, last year, your State of the Nations Forum. You gathered together competitors, not as well as your agency partners, clients, and your own sort of people. And tell us what the objective was and what the outcomes were for that.
Well, the objectives for the event was actually almost exactly a year ago, was to really take head on the inertia in the entire media and advertising industry and bring everyone together. Brand marketers, agencies, competitors, linear executives, digital executives, and actually confront those frustrations that we all shared that were holding the industry back to move forward. And we touched on everything that included measurement to brand safety to the distribution of premium content. So the real goal was to actually liberate the entire industry to think about change and to a basic call to action to coalesce the entire industry around that change to deliver a better product to the consumer, therefore offering better opportunities to the brand marketers.
Okay, and in the year that's followed, have you seen a sort of, a determined effort to make those changes?
And absolutely, we're very happy about the progress so far. I think the industry as a whole has heard, it's our understanding, right? And our belief that the advertising industry is likely to change more in the next 5 years than it has in the last 50 years. So if you think about it, if we just talk about measurement alone, measurement or currency in the US hasn't changed in over a decade. Now, if you compare that, right, to consumer behavior, and you think about it even logically without being an expert in our business, how is any product that hasn't changed in 10 years still relevant to a consumer? So to start with that or to use that as a benchmark for our reason to change or to initiate change, again, I think that's a good example that we've got some things in motion.
Okay, and you talking of measurement, you obviously launched C-Flight this year, which is your measurement metric solution, and it covers all screens and it counts commercial impressions,
yes.
And it also tries to equalize those screens in terms of how they're
Correct.
Valued by an advertiser. Yes. So what's been the impact of that?
Think about even the question. To have been asked this question a year ago it was considered provocative or heresy in the industry. But what it really was all about was to a very strategic cadence of planned rollouts of products to enhance opportunities for clients, but actually to open up opportunities and offer a better product to consumers. So what it was just solely to better measure all screen viewing as an early phase to reflect consumer behavior. So we have our, linear measurement in the US that is delivered via Nielsen, right? So the C, whether it's C3, 3 days after the live viewing, or C7, 7 days after the live viewing, and then comparing it from either, or combining it with the digital viewing that happens outside of those windows on other screens. Right? So we would use Nielsen or ComScore, so in a verified fashion, be able to combine those two audiences together, account for them on an audience and impression basis, and deliver back to the advertiser a verified, guaranteed metric that better reflects the consumer behavior. And if you think about it, we've actually opened up the inventory for the marketplace, or adding incremental inventory to the premium content universe that's available to our brand marketers, and actually democratizing television. So you can bring more advertisers in because there's more inventory, and actually offer opportunities for television that's somewhat unique because those direct-to-consumer marketers or those regional marketers didn't have an opportunity, and they're suffering from the limitations of performance-based marketing from the digital platforms.
But as an advertiser, do I now have to accept that a view on a UHD television set on my wall and my iPhone are the same value? And do I have to pay you the same for it?
Well, it really depends what content you're talking about. So do you have to pay the same for it? You should be paying, and again, we don't charge the marketers. The marketers determine what they're willing to pay for our content. So this great marketplace of supply and demand. But if you're able to capture and account for content on all screens with a unified metric, then you will pay the same price for it. If it's the screen in your hand and you're watching a popular show, whether it's Sunday Night Football, right, or American football, so I apologize, clarify, or something like This Is Us, one of the big hits at NBC Universal that I think many of you in this room watch, so I thank you for that. So if you're watching it in the screen in your hand, or the screen on your lap, or the screen on the wall, you should be able to be offered the benefit from the advertisers that want to bring it to you. So we capture all of that, and when you think about it, so for example, This Is Us, but many other programs across our portfolio, almost 50% of viewing happens outside that linear window that I was discussing a few minutes ago. So a lot of people, if you believe the press narrative that viewing is going down, I think I have a lot of people who agree in this room, it's actually increasing when you're able to properly accumulate all that viewing across all screens. So it's actually a very exciting time in the US that we're finally able to bring that together.
Okay, and for the marketer, what do they gain from it? Do they get a guarantee that they will hit their target audience segment and you can do it no matter how?
What the marketer is enjoying right now is the ability to have more opportunities to deliver an ad to the customer, the consumer, in the best possible context there is, right? So if you're able to marry your piece of content in the form of an advertisement and you're a marketer, and you're able to marry it with the premium content ecosystem, that's the best possible place for your product to experience brand affinity, likeness, conversion to website, search. The metrics are so successful when you compare it. If you're in a premium environment and you get that full funnel power of contextual advertising compared to, again, the limitations of the performance marketing on social platforms. So that's what the advertisers get. And there's more demand than supply, so they have more opportunity, so everyone benefits.
Okay, and I know one of your big messages is that we should stop separating TV and digital, and you're doing that successfully with C-Flight, obviously, but where do you think the line is now? Is it between premium content in a brand-safe environment, whether it's TV or digital, and then the rest? Is that where you would draw the line for marketing?
Well, it's interesting. Again, we always go back to the consumer behavior. The consumer does not differentiate. Doesn't differentiate between broadcast and cable, linear and digital. That's an old conversation, right? An obsolete conversation that the consumer has moved way beyond. And therefore, commerce in the advertising and media business should reflect that, right? But you bring up brand safety, right? And I often get asked about how do you confront brand safety at NBC Universal? And I say, we don't. Because we don't have to. And I think about the amount of time that this industry spends on brand safety, and I'm sad to have to say that has the bar gotten that low where the only thing you have to promise a marketer is brand safety? So how low is that bar? So why don't we have the pendulum swing back and talk about what the beauty of this industry is, and that's the magic and the math, or the art of the industry of this powerful storytelling and context, But then now that television has gotten smarter, you're able to bring the math and the science to it. So when you make TV smarter and you combine that art and science, that's where perfection happens. That's where the full funnel power of, I was watching the video from backstage, that full funnel power of television or premium content is the game changer for providers like NBC Universal and many of you in this room. And when I think about the low bar of brand safety and I compare it to what we do, I think, checkmate. That's an easy game to win.
And do you think it's time to start going more aggressively after Facebook and Google in the digital space? Because you've been investing heavily in digital. You've got some fairly major digital partnerships with people like Fox Media. And we've always been wondering how this sort of rather unnatural duopoly will be broken, and people are quite excited by Amazon maybe coming in and doing that. But
I would never say there would be a strategic approach to go after Google and Facebook. Google in particular, YouTube is such a huge partner, important partner to NBC Universal. But when you say go after, I think, if you follow the legacy of, advertising money follows eyeballs, the consumer has been voting for a long time now, probably close to 2 years. And when you look at the consumption declines, particularly with the social platforms, particularly as it relates to Facebook, we believe that's one of the reasons. Like if you've heard Brian Weiser coming out from Pivotal, that the estimates for 2019 of ad spending, particularly in the US, is going to go up. And we believe that's a reflection of the systemic business issues that the social platforms are addressing right now. And actually combined, it's almost like a perfect storm or lightning in a bottle, with TV getting so much smarter and being able to target the consumer better, talk about business outcomes instead of what I would call the change or the obsolescence of what was an old C3 rating. We're now able to talk about C-flight, and we're able to talk about business outcomes. So when you combined, don't have to talk about brand safety. You look at the power of premium content. Now that's gotten so much smarter for targeting for advertisers. That's the perfect storm that we're talking about.
Is audience extension into the digital world a big opportunity? I mean,
Yes, 100%. If you look at a company like NBC Universal, we talk about it in a lot of ways. I'll talk about from a business success metric, our digital ad revenues have exceeded $1 billion this year. That's gets your attention, right? But when you think about our owned and operated assets, we have a very lucky and fortunate to have a big portfolio, and we know we can offer our advertisers a lot, about a quarter of the available audience at any given time, or consumers. But when you think about our thoughtful choice of partners, Vox Media, BuzzFeed, Snap, Apple News. So while we know that we can offer our advertisers a lot, we know we can't offer them everything they need to capture the consumers they're looking for. And that was really part of our strategic philosophy about our partnerships. So we choose our partners very carefully, and we're able to offer a continuation on any screen at any time, safe environments for them to put their messages.
Okay, and I know one of the changes you made, unrelated to last year, was going more direct to clients.
Yeah.
That was, a big issue. So tell us what you did there. I mean, did you feel that you didn't have an equal footing with Google and Facebook because they were in there all the time and you weren't?
I think the Google and Facebook have done a fantastic job of communicating their capabilities and messages to the marketers directly. And historically, particularly in the US, the TV businesses grew up with a very nice partnership with our agency partners and the holding companies. But it has become very, very important, particularly as our counting, I say we're getting really great at counting stuff, as all of our advanced advertising and targeting capabilities, and particularly as a company like Comcast NBC Universal, our partnership with Comcast and its set-top box data availabilities, it's become very, very important to establish those relationships directly with advertisers. So we formed, for the first time in the US, a client partnerships team that's sole purpose is to call on, develop relationship, act as a business solution provider to the brand marketers at the brand marketer, brand by brand level. And that's solely focused on accomplishing their business goals. That talks about increased profitability, increased ability to reach the consumer, and not out of the day-to-day slog of the transactional or commerce side of the business. So let's build ideas, let's create opportunities or communication platforms together, and then we'll hand off to the transactional side of the business. It's been very, very successful for our company.
Okay, and what was the impact on the agency relationships?
Well, the agency relationship, so in combination with our client partnership team, we also formed an agency partnership team. And one of their purposes is to create or liaise with the client partnership team and the brand marketers to make sure there's an open line of communication flow so that they know exactly what we're doing, exactly what we're developing, that there's full communication and full transparency to the agencies of that communication.
Okay, so do you think you got the perfect balance? You kept the agencies largely happy?
Oh my gosh, I never want to be someone up here who talks about being perfect. So I would love to sit here and say that we're kind of done. We got it all figured out, but we are a continual work in progress. And if you think about kind of the dull moment at NBC Universal, we're so thrilled to have a new partner with our Sky team. And so we get to talk about something, all new with a lot of our brand marketers who are incredibly interested in what is early days now, but the common shared vision of where the marketplace is going, right? But also a common vision of what is a unique or first ever premium content company that can now be global, and what are those opportunities that we can offer to our marketing partners.
Okay,
Very exciting times.
So you're thinking international already with your existing marketing partners?
And looking forward to that, very optimistic about capabilities.
Okay. Now, I know you've also spent a lot of time thinking about the viewer experience, and you've done some work on ad load, and you've got your prime pods, which are the sort of 60-second spots which are shared by just 2 advertisers. But Contextual Intelligence is also a major launch, which was last month. Now, in the UK, Channel 4 have been looking at contextual moments as well.
Yeah.
They saw ad recall double in their tests. So is this a game changer for linear TV, and in terms of context as well, over audience?
I would say yes, it's a game changer. It's a game changer at NBC Universal. It's a game changer for our clients who've been supporting us. But back to that, I won't use the word perfect, I'll use incredibly imperfect, which is the live linear experience, particularly in the US. So if you look at the amount of commercialization or the amount of advertisements in the live linear experience in the US, it is, I won't use too provocative of a word, I would say that it's very imperfect. And it's too much, and it is, it was an opportunity for us, again, based off of our summit that we had last year, to take head on the improvement of that experience. So I think very much so that it is a continuation, it will continue what we'll do. So what we did was reduce clutter by 20%, reduce commercial time by 10% in prime time across all of our networks. So we're just rolling out, we're only about 6 weeks in. So we're just rolling out ad performance. So similar to Channel 4's results, you'll hear that coming out of NBC Universal. So the marketers marketers have very successfully embraced. Number one, they embraced the initiative alone, which was to improve the experience. But what they also embraced was the opportunity for them to be in a contextually relevant environment. And what we're moving towards now this year, to the point of our contextual intelligence platform. So think about an automated platform that can place a brand marketer's advertisement, contextually place it at the scene level to enhance their ad performance when you're married with this premium content. I think the exciting thing to think about it is finally that we've gotten to a point or bridged the gap of what our creatives, all the partners in this room, the creatives spend so much time creatively scheduling, right? An evening, every night of programming. What goes on at 8 o'clock? What's the perfect lead in to the show at 9 o'clock? And what should come at 10 o'clock? And then we interrupt that intimate consumer experience or viewing experience, and we throw a whole bunch of advertisements that are disconnected to the content themselves and then disconnected to each other. So disconnected from commercial to commercial. And we really just couldn't take it anymore. So we said we have to get to the point where we're actually programming our commercial pods. And that's a very exciting time. So to be able to tag all of our content and work with our data science team and use AI to iterate and keep compounding the capabilities, again, at the scene level for a portfolio of the size of NBC Universal is quite an exciting opportunity for our marketers.
And how scalable is that? Would that just be done with a few marketers on a limited basis, or do you think all ads could go that way?
I think what I can confidently say, and I can't give results because we're just in market right now, with 4 advertising partners that were specifically chosen in different categories of products that we are in beta right now in market. So it's on air in the US that we did exactly that, programmed our commercial pods at the scene level with their advertisements. So can it be scaled? Yes. What we'll be bringing to market during this, kind of upfront market in the spring of 19 in the US will be a full-scale, full portfolio opportunity. And it's really interesting the way the AI has worked and worked with our data science team, because they're actually using closed captioning that has all at the script level and scene level, the ability for hundreds and hundreds of emotional attributes to be connected with the client's creative brief to then bring to life this contextual platform. And I use the very specifically chosen word of the emotional attributes, because that's at the core of that video that started the power of television. So when you're able to connect in that intimate viewing experience, again, screen in your hand, your lap, the screen in your home, that's an intimate viewing experience. And when you're able to put just as emotional commercial content in that, that's when you inspire action, right? That's when you inspire the consumer to be actually act and do something, go to a showroom, go to a store and purchase a product. I often say, how many times has a like walked in a showroom and purchased a product? And how many times does a family gather around a news feed? So this is really what we think is at the core or the heart center of what is the cusp of a renaissance or a breakthrough of smart television.
Okay, and in just 2 minutes, we know you're a leader and there are major leaders in some markets, but how do we bring the whole industry forward? Because as an industry, for it to survive, or thrive rather, it's not just a few leaders we need everybody to get there. And how do we bridge that gap, if you like?
Well, I love that question, and thank you for asking that. And it's one of the reasons that I was very flattered to be asked to come to speak to everyone today. And what I ask of everyone in the room is just become an evangelist or an advocate and count on Comcast, NBC Universal of being all your partners. And I know for sure the Sky partners that are in the room today share an equal vision or an equal ask. Because in the US, I think it's early days, but we have really good momentum as we close 2018. But a global advocacy can actually make change to an industry that has been completely stuck in a rigid legacy that not only doesn't serve a business purpose for the marketers, but it's actually holding the consumer experience back. So I think a global coalescing of what we all can do together as partners is the key to change.
Okay, well, thank you. Well, we don't have any time for audience questions, I'm afraid, so I'd just like to say thank you very much, Linda, and it's absolutely brilliant to have you.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I
Okay,
really
thank you.
appreciate it. Thank you, everyone.